So again, I want to thank our partners. That's all of you, our families. Thank you. Our teachers who are also here. Our community stakeholders. I know I've met a few people here from Kensington Voice, from Impact, McPherson Park. There are so many others. I know I'm not getting to all of them, but I do want to welcome everyone. If you speak Spanish and need to have this translated, we do have Miss Dalila. Miss Dalila, can you just wave? Yes, she has all of the equipment you will need for translation, for live translation. She's amazing, by the way. I see some of my colleagues are also making their way in here. And so what I'm going to do at this time is turn it over to Mr. Nunez. He's going to discuss some formatting and the agenda, etc. Thank you, Mr. Nunez.
Thank you, Principal Balbuena. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everybody. So very simple. We've shared the agenda with our candidates. We would like them to start by introducing themselves to you, to the community. They will have exactly 1 minute. They have a clock right there. We pride ourselves in equity of voice and want to make sure we keep to that. After that, then we get into the rounds of questions. You see these students right here, young change makers, student representatives have been working for the last 2 weeks, really doing research on our candidates, and they have some questions ready. So the questions were developed from the questions that were submitted to us. There were 54 questions from the community in English, 4 in Spanish. We reviewed every single one of them with our partners from WHYY and Al Dia, and we came up with those questions. So they developed the questions based on your concerns, teachers' concerns, community partners' concerns. So they'll be asking the questions, and also our partners here for the day, they're going to be moderating the event. Each of the candidates will have 2 minutes. They'll be let know how much time they have, and then we're going to close out with hearing their platform. So 2 minutes open for them to use to share with you what they're proposing for the city of Philadelphia. So I don't want to take any more time. I'm going to turn it over to our reporters, and from them we hope that you enjoyed this, and thank you for being here.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming out. My name is Aubrey Uhas. I'm WHYY's education reporter.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alan Nunez, and I'm one of the political reporters for Al Dia, moderating the event tonight.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carlos Nogueras. I'm a political reporter for Al Dia News. And just before we begin, candidates, as you're asked to introduce and answer questions, please be mindful of the timer. Try not to begin speaking before the timer goes off. When your time to answer the question is complete, it will beep to interrupt you and let you know. And if not, we'll also step in. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and get started and jump right into it. We want to maximize the time we have. There are a few norms that we'd like to go over. Ms. Balbuena?
Yep. All right. Let's see. Bathrooms. We have an all-gender bathroom just right across the hall. All gender. So when you go in, just maybe ask who's in there, okay? And if you have children, go in with your children, please. Cell phones, if at this time you can place them on mute or vibrate or off, that would be really nice since we are recording. And I know we have funny jingles, all of us. Here we go. We ask that all audience members just remain courteous and refrain from applause until the end of the forum. We want to maximize the time we have for all of our candidates. So applause would take up some of that time. Trust me, there just really isn't enough time. And Mr. Nunez already described the forum, the format, and I believe we're ready. Oh, thank you. Mr. Nunez always keeps me on point. So we do have 2 candidates that will be leaving early this afternoon. We have Maria, oh, welcome, Helen. You just snuck in there behind my back. We have Maria Quiñones Sanchez, who will be leaving at about 4:45-ish. And then we have Alan Dom, who will be, you're staying. Okay, we just have 1 candidate leaving early. That's wonderful news. So that means more questions for him, right? All right, so here we go. Let's take this away. Who goes next?
Devin Smith, let's take it away.
Yes, let's do it.
My school is old, very old, like 124 years old, with no air conditioning, no elevators, no ramps for people in wheelchairs, no good bathrooms, and no parking for teachers. With a yes or a no, if you become mayor, do you commit to helping us advocate for a new school building? Since it is my last year here, I won't get to see it. I hope my little sister Sadie, she's in kindergarten right now, I hope she gets to see it and learn in a comfortable class like other kids do, with no asbestos or things like that. We think we deserve it. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Reinhardt, running for mayor. Yes.
María Quiñones Sánchez, absolutamente que sí.
Good afternoon, I'm David O. The answer is yes.
I'm Helen Gim. The answer is yes, yes, yes.
Derek Green, running for mayor, absolutely yes.
Alan Dom, running for mayor, absolutely yes.
State Representative Amen Brown, and the answer is yes.
I'm Warren Bloom, Bloom in the Spring, do the right thing, absolutely 100%, guys, you've got it.
We're going to circle back to opening statements for all of the candidates as well, but I just want to give Sherelle Parker an opportunity to answer that yes or no question as well. And the question from our student, Devin, was Gloria Casarez has a lot of facilities concerns, and if you are elected mayor, will you work with them to get them the school building that they need?
Sherelle Parker, yes. Thank you.
Great. So now we're going to do opening statements, 1 minute from each of the candidates, and let's start with Rebecca Reinhardt.
So my name is Rebecca Reinhardt. I'm running for mayor of our city because I'm the right person to lead our city forward in this critical time. Oh, is it not on?
It's on.
Oh, it is on, okay. I've spent the last 15 years working for the residents of our city. I was the city's budget director, so I know the city's money inside and out, the city's budget. I was the city's chief administrative officer, overseeing 1,000 employees. And as the elected city controller, I audited every department, so I know the issues facing our city. And as controller, I put forth thoughtful solutions to fix the issues, but that's where my power ended. As mayor, I can make the change happen to make our city safer. We must be safer. And to make our city cleaner, we have to pick up the trash. As mayor, I will make it safe for you and clean, and also fix our schools. Thank you so much. Rebecca Reinhardt for mayor.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es María Quiñones Sánchez y ustedes es la razón porque yo me lancé para alcaldesa de la ciudad de Filadelfia, porque estoy frustrada como una concejal con las condiciones que esta ciudad le ha permitido a esta comunidad. Thank you very much. My name is María Quiñones Sánchez. As you know, I was your council person, and one of the main reasons I'm running is because I grew up on K&A going to Mastbaum, and never in the city of Philadelphia have we tolerated the type of behavior that we've done here. Councilmember Escuela and I did all we can in council. As your mayor, I will lead departments to make sure that you have a safe community and one that you deserve, that is clean, respectful, and dignified, where we can take care of people in need, but also recognize that we are traumatizing and normalizing conditions in this city that no other zip code would tolerate it. Kensington should not either.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Sherelle Parker. I am a mom and I am an English teacher. I propose to each of you today that if the people of our great city give me the opportunity to serve as their mayor, we will have the safest and the cleanest big city in America that provides access to economic opportunity for all. And access to that economic opportunity for all includes you. It includes making sure that there are good seats and quality instruction in 21st century modern with 21st century modern buildings in schools so that you can have the ability to read, write, think, speak, compute at a level that will allow you to compete in our 21st century economy. I am a product of humble beginnings, and I was raised by my grandmother and my grandfather, and they told me that I could use education as a tool to be whatever I wanted to be in the world, and I'm going to make sure you have access to that opportunity.
All right. All right. My name's David O. I'm also running for mayor. I'm running because I think what you're looking at in this neighborhood is completely unsatisfactory. It seems like it doesn't work, but it can work. It could work, right? It just takes the will to make it work. It's not really that hard. A lot of the problems that you see are the result of government. Bad management, poor government, and neglect. Is every section of Philadelphia like this? No, it's not. Why do you have to live this way? You shouldn't have to. I first came to this neighborhood in 1985 when I was working in the Philadelphia District Attorney's office, and there were issues that we dealt with, but they have never been this bad. You can't go to the train station. You can't go to the bus stop. It's dangerous. The first thing is nobody should be in fear of their life simply for going outside of the door. This neighborhood has always had cages around the porches. That's a shame. You should be able to call 911 and get a response right away. There should be patrol cars coming to you with polite, courteous, intelligent service at your service. You should not be afraid of the police. You should not be behind a rock and a hard place. The things that I want to do to make your city safe, to make your community safe, that is the beginning, and from there we can have better schools, better jobs, a cleaner environment for you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Casarez. I'm honored to be here with you. My name is Helen Gim. I am a daughter of immigrants. I'm a former public school teacher. I am a former city council member, but most of all, I'm a mom. I'm a tough Philly mom who had to take on some of Philadelphia's toughest fights, especially when people told us that the things that we wanted were impossible to have. I did it not just by holding office or by being from a place of privilege. I worked directly with communities. I worked and organized alongside everyday parents who demanded a safer school for their children. I worked alongside teachers who made sure that they would have classrooms that were supportive of them. I worked alongside people who are trying to keep a roof over their heads to make sure that they weren't being evicted. And when I came onto city council, I wanted to show everybody that everything had to change, that the things that we were told that we couldn't have, we needed. And that's why we went out and we ended a state takeover and we put clean water and nurses and social workers back into schools. And there's so much more for us to do, including a brand new school building for Casarez and dozens of other school communities across the city of Philadelphia. But I am here as another person, as somebody, as your mayor, who is going to fight as hard as I can to make sure that this community is seen, heard, and valued. I will bring competence, I will bring collaboration, and I will bring compassion with me as my guiding values for leadership in the mayor's office. Thank you.
10 seconds so you know I'm going to say it quietly. We will have the clock for the 2 minutes. Apologies. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. My name is Derek Green. I'm running for mayor, and being in this space really gives me a reflection of when I was a younger parent and my son was at Houston Elementary School, and being in a school not much different than this, that real issues and challenges that so many people are dealing with every single day, making sure that your children and the young people are here getting the best education. But we know the #1 issue in the city of Philadelphia that we all are dealing with is the gun violence. Is an issue that plagues every part of the city, from this community to all communities in the city of Philadelphia. As a former assistant district attorney who was once racially profiled while leaving the DA's office, I know we've got to reduce gun violence in the city of Philadelphia. Last year we had 2,200 shootings. 74% of the victims and the shooters look just like me. So I have a real plan to address the issue through presence, accountability, opportunity, investment, and that's how we'll change the paradigm, not only in this community, but around the city of Philadelphia, with Derek Green as your mayor.
Good Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alan Dom, running for mayor. And what's nice about this forum is seeing all the young children here. I got to tell you, it's refreshing to see that compared to all the other forums we've been to. So I will say this, I'm running for mayor to make a better future for all of you, and you deserve it. And I grew up pretty modestly. I shined shoes at 5 years of age for 25 cents. I had 2 paper routes at 11. I was a janitor after wrestling practice in 10th grade, making $1.60 an hour from 6:30 to 10:30 at night. You can do this too. I'm doing it. You guys can do it. In the area of education, clearly violence is our #1 issue. By far, it's the #1 issue. But I want to speak to education because we're in a school. I want to see us teach financial literacy K through 12, technology K through 12, and entrepreneurship K through 12. And allow students in high school, 9th to 12th grade, the option, working 1 day a week, going to school for 4 days, getting credit, getting paid, and getting a summer job. Anyway, I'm doing this for all of you. I love the 5th graders that are wearing blue. I understand everyone else is 4th and below is wearing red. I just think it's amazing what you've done in this school to the principal and the vice principal and all the teachers. Congratulations. Great job.
Good afternoon. I am State Representative Amon Brown, and I'm running for mayor to give our city a fresh start and a new beginning. What we have been doing over the last 7, 8 years has not been working for each and every individual in this room. And it's time for us to have a fresh start and a new beginning. And that's what my campaign represents. I'm also running for mayor to protect each and every one of you. To the children in this room, I was shot at the age of 14. I'm a survivor of gun violence. And I'm running to make sure that no more children or no more parents experience what my mother experienced on 56 and Market when I was shot. And I'm also running to make sure that the schools are in much better condition than this. And I'm thankful to be here. And when I told one of the parents that, she said, well, are you thankful that you're standing in our children's gymnasium? Had no idea. This will not be the case once I'm elected your mayor. Thank you.
Hi, guys. My name is Warren Bloom. This is your first test. And my slogan is, bloom in the spring, do the right thing. I'm from the hood, I'll do you good. Let's all say it together. Bloom in the spring, do the right thing. I'm from the hood, I'll do you good. Give yourselves a hand, guys. First of all, I'm so excited to be here at the Casarez School that I'm the only candidate that's committed to opening up a satellite office or mayor's office right here in Kensington. And the other thing is, I'm the only block captain here. You know what block captain's like, right, guys? A clean street, right? We all gonna have to do this together. Listen, a lot of people don't think children have enough intelligence to help guide a city. I'm going to be needing the guidance of all the citizens and the young people. I am the only candidate that will visit each and every school. We have like 900 schools, I think, in the city. But I'm going to be trying to reach as many as I can. You are our future. You're our greatest assets. And we're going to make sure that you achieve your goals. If you want to go to college, you can. If not, you can go into trade. But you have the ability to be in anything you want to be. You're probably smarter than all of us up here. So thank you so very much. Remember, bloom in the spring, do the right thing.
Thank you. Okay. So we've talked a lot about facilities so far, and thank you to Devin for that great jumping off question, but now we're going to ask you guys for some specifics. So we want every candidate with 2 minutes, and we will have that time on the clock, apologies for confusion on the first round, to tell us your plan to make sure that every single student is attending school in a safe and comfortable building, and we want to hear how you're going to make that possible from a financial and an accountability perspective, especially given the accountability concerns that we have going on right now with new laws and a lawsuit and the back and forth between City Council and the school district. And we'll start with Rebecca Reinhardt and work in the same order again. And please wait until you see the clock start and then take it away.
Safety in our schools, so important. Get comfortable here. We need to improve the condition of our schools and improve safety in our city so that our kids are safe. As mayor, I will do both. I've spent the last 15 years working for the city, so I know how the city works and doesn't work, and I can hit the ground running on day one. I will push the state for more money so that we can get rid of the asbestos and lead in our school buildings. And I will appoint a school board that shares my vision for accountability. We only have 35% of our third graders reading at grade level right now. That is not acceptable. We must do better. I'll set goals. 50% reading at grade level, then 75%. We have to set goals and get our kids there. My daughter is a 7th grader in the public school system in Philadelphia. This is personal to me. And I will make sure that there is safety in our school buildings, both free from lead and asbestos and safe from violence outside the doors. I will make sure that we have safety by putting more police on the streets, by breaking up the open-air drug market, and by making sure that there is true safety for every child and every teacher that teaches and learns in our school building. Thank you. Rebecca Reinhardt for mayor.
Muchísimas gracias. Yo fui miembro del Comité de Educación y en los últimos años, cuando tuvimos la pandemia, yo fui la responsable en trabajar con el distrito escolar para abrir nuestras escuelas. Y si usted me había dicho en ese entonces que nosotros íbamos a conseguirle acceso al internet y computadora a los niños, yo le había dicho que los adultos nunca lo iban a permitir. El crisis creó una oportunidad, right? I was chair of education when we had to open up our schools, and if you had told me pre-COVID that we were going to have the political will to get 45,000 families internet and a Chromebook in every child's hands, I would have told you the adults would never let it happen. But crisis created opportunity. What that taught me is that we need to be focused on the work that we're doing. One of the last things I was working on before leaving City Council was the creation of a school building authority. Why a school building authority? 90% of the time at school board meetings, we are talking about buildings and facilities. What the school district needs is capacity. We need capacity and money and people to know that we have a plan for all of the buildings throughout the city and that we just knock school buildings down. We deserve a good K-8 school in walking distance for every neighborhood. We need to create high school options that really matter, opportunities for college and career for school buildings. I'm the only candidate calling for a citywide camera program. Sumamente importante que no todas nosotros tengamos acceso a una escuela que podemos caminar que esté segura. Yo soy la única candidata que estoy diciendo, vamos a poner cámara, vamos a tener limpieza, vamos a asegurar que todas las comunidades se sientan segura, pero necesitamos crear la capacidad en el distrito escolar. 90% de las reuniones son discutiendo los edificios. Mira, vamos a tumbarlo, vamos a crear nuevos edificios, vamos a concentrarnos en lo que estamos supuestos a hacer en nuestras escuelas, que es enseñar y preparar a nuestros hijos para nuestro futuro. Gracias.
Philadelphians are at a significantly low voter turnout and civic engagement and participation because people have, quite frankly, lost hope and faith in government. And they've lost it because they haven't seen their tax dollars at work in their neighborhoods and or their schools. Sherelle Parker, why should we believe you when you tell us you will make us the safest and the cleanest and greenest big city in the nation? Because I am the only candidate who is standing here who understands how to navigate and employ the use of the intergovernmental skills necessary to ensure that we have a capital budget line item specifically for the building of new school facilities that includes the federal, state, and the local government. The Commonwealth Court just announced a decision, $11+ billion, and it's growing in a surplus in Harrisburg, over $660 million in our fund balance. The dollars aren't the problem, it's the coordination. And while we're making you safer, I want you to know that I didn't have to wait until I decided to run for mayor to understand that public safety was the #1 priority. I didn't need a mayoral poll to tell me that. I talked to the people. So what I commit to you is that this open air drug market that's been allowed to persist for years here in Kensington, I will use every tool tool in our toolbox to employ federal, state, and local resources to ensure that it is addressed. While we're working on addressing that, we need to ensure that any services, any do-gooders think that they're going to contribute to what's happening here at Kensington. They need to work with the people who live here first and not decide that they know what's best for the people who've lived in this community. We're going to be partners in getting it done.
Look at this school. Do you think all schools look like this? No, right? How is that even legal to have one school that is so well equipped with such good resources and another one that is so poorly equipped? Why are the curriculums so different? Why does one school have an orchestra and a basketball team and another one doesn't? You can go to countries all over the world, and you know what? The best ones, not the wealthiest ones, the best ones have a level of equity of facility, curriculum, and resources. Every child has the same opportunity in the same setting. We are sending a terrible message to our children and to their parents and to everyone who cares when we give them less than what they should have. I go to a post office in this neighborhood. It looks like every other post office. You get the same services. Wherever you go, the post office does the same thing. The schools, by law, are required to do that. Now, we know that. This is not new. We will need a mayor. I will be that mayor. We will need a mayor who will come in and actually make the level of facilities, curriculum, and resources equitable, number one. Number two, the equal opportunity, because education has to matter. People have to see that going to school changes their lives. And you as children, you should feel stimulated and you should enjoy the education you have. I put in a bill to reform education. I'd like to see, you know, in the best countries, only 30% go to college. 70% do not. They get good paying jobs. There has to be vocational educational training that is tied in with employers. They have a VET program in Europe. I like to model the same thing. You go work for Boeing, you go to school 3 days a week, go to Boeing 2 days a week, and you get paid. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. So last year I was here at Gloria Casarez to honor a group of students, some of whom are in the audience here, who had worked with the district to try and get the district to fix their playground because there were so many open potholes in the playground that kids were actually being hurt, educators were being hurt on the playground. And it took 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds to force the district to come to the table to finally fix the broken asphalt that is here. 5 miles away from here, Lower Merion is building a $140 million public middle school for its 12-year-olds. That inequity cannot stand, and as a mom, I fought tooth and nail to make sure that it would not. I came into office after a mayor had shut down 30 public schools, closed and slashed funding for libraries and recreation centers, after-school programs, and even closed down fire stations. And I said absolutely not on our watch, that this city will not grow if it leaves its families and its children behind. And I am somebody who has spent my entire life trying to make families and young people stronger in the face of unmitigated violence. So as soon as I came in, the first thing we did was that clean water campaign that brought those brand new water stations out to every single young person. That started a $500 million campaign to get air conditioning, to do lead, asbestos, and mold remediation. And that is just the start. The point is that we have the money when it becomes a priority. As mayor, I will lead an effort to collaborate with the district and do a dual budget that we present before the city of Philadelphia on what a modern public school system and a growing city has to look like, because they are not separate budgets. They are not separate ideas. If the school district is left behind, the entire city is left behind. If children do not grow up healthy and strong, our city will not grow healthy and strong. I promise safe routes to schools. Every child knowing that they should not be afraid to to go to school to get an education. I'll continue this conversation a little bit later, but honored to have that.
So I remember the first time I came to this school before the pandemic, and I was here with City Year and Wells Fargo making improvements to the playground, and saw the community come together to invest in this school. It reminded me of the work I did at Houston Elementary School, starting the first autism support classroom for young families like mine to make sure their families could have a real education in the school district of Philadelphia. But we have a real issue in our city, in our schools. Our schools should not look the way they currently do. I remember my mother taught in the school district for 31 years, 26 years at Olney High School. They had asbestos at Olney High School. My son graduated from Hill Freeman last year. There was asbestos at Hill Freeman then. That's why I introduced legislation that the school district is now fighting us to not allow us to make sure that we don't have asbestos in our schools, using your tax dollars to fight the city to make sure we don't have asbestos. That's not what we should be doing. Philadelphians should expect more and deserve better from our city. As mayor, we'll make sure we'll renovate schools in the city of Philadelphia. As a former national president of Democratic municipal officials, I've seen what they've done in other cities like DC and Baltimore, and have a 21st century building plan to renovate all the schools, not just one school in the Northeast like the Propel Academy, but every school, especially schools right here in Kensington, because our young people need to be able to see an educational system and a school building that's going to really promote them to be the best leaders that they can be. That's part of the reason we have so much gun violence and public safety issues in our city, because we're not investing in our young people, giving them a place to really learn and become the best leaders that they can be. That is a challenge that we have in our city, and we need leadership. We need leadership to make sure that's going to happen. So if we have some neighborhoods look one way and other neighborhoods look a different way, we cannot have that as a city. And as your mayor, I'll make sure we'll have a building plan. I'm the former finance chair. I've also been an attorney, and I understand how we can get things done because I've seen it happen in other cities, and I'll bring that leadership back to the city of Philadelphia so that all schools look the same.
On my 10-point public safety plan, which is on my website, votedom.com, and I'm sure all of you are technologically oriented, you could find that. I've listed a lot of different things that will get the crime under control. One of the things I would do is have a public safety cabinet starting day one that consists of the DA, the Attorney General, Police Commissioner, FBI, ATF, courts, including school security. If it's Kevin Bethel or whoever it is at that time, I would have everyone at the table. I'd conduct the meetings myself on a weekly basis to get the violence under control. Would also put cameras outside of all schools. Would also put in more wraparound trauma services for many of our young people who've seen trauma in the school system and have seen trauma with their friends. We need to help them get through this. This is a big, big issue. But in the really big area, when you talk about the school district inventory, I remember getting a report from a former CFO, Uri Munson, that we had between 40 and 45 schools that were operating way below 50% occupancy. Some were operating at 25%, 20%, 30%. The cost to maintain a school that's operating at 25% has to be revisited. We should look at 2 or 3 of these schools, possibly consider closing them and opening a state-of-the-art school. And we should probably have a building plan that per year we're building 3 to 4, realistically, new schools and combining some of those less occupied schools so we can cover the expense. That's important to do. We should be doing that every year. We haven't done that in the past, and we need to do that. As far as raising the money, when I came to council in 2016, the real estate tax collection rate was 89%. I work with the Revenue Department. My colleagues on council supported a program called sequestration. We moved it to 96%. We collected an extra $120 million of delinquent real estate taxes for schools, and then we had all commercial properties reassessed and collected over $120 million there. On an annual basis, that's $240 million. That money can be used for the schools, 55%. Thank you.
In our first 100 days as mayor, our administration is going to evaluate each and every school, starting in communities like Kensington, to see what needs to happen and what the next steps are going to be. So if a school needs to be fully renovated or relocated or knocked down and rebuilt, that's what we're going to do. We're also going to install 21st century technology in and around each and every school to ensure safety. For example, cameras panic packages, and heavily increase the lighting. And last but not least, we're going to make sure that we start an office of family and parent engagement. Our schools and communities don't thrive without your involvement. We can't expect teachers to come in from outside the community to teach and tell our children what's best for us. And then further, we're going to be making sure each and every community that the schools are in are safe. Last week, 2 weeks ago, I'm dropping my 8-year-old daughter off, same size as you guys, and she had a sad face. And I said, baby girl, what's wrong? She said, I pray that we don't have another lockdown today. As a father, as a protector, as a community leader and elected official, that hurts. But what that lets us know is that government has failed our children. And under our administration, children will not have to say that ever again. Thank you.
I thought I'd also stand up so I could be seen by everybody. But we're talking about an old school. Our school system, guys, is nearly 200 years old. But guess what? The same curriculum they started out in 1837 when they first initiated public schools, they're still using the same curriculum. Can you believe that? They haven't changed the curriculum in over 100 years, guys. I'm going to make sure as mayor that we come up to 21st century technology. You're not only going to do that, but if you're 8 years old, like I said before, everybody's going to have a chance to participate in public safety. It's a different day, guys. You're going to have to watch your back. You're going to have to learn things and skills that we never had to deal with. But everybody's going to have to take a role in making this city perfect and making it the place we want it to be. All of us are going to have a responsibility. So get ready to help me change this city. I'm looking forward to being your next mayor. I'm using the great ideas that are all of these. Alan has some great ideas. Sherelle Park has some great ideas. And we all have to collaborate. That's been my whole mantra. We have to collaborate on the ideas that's best to make this city safe. I'm Warren Bloom in the spring. Do the right thing. I'm from the hood. I'll do you good. Guys, you can come to me. I'm visiting all schools, and I love kids, and I love your future, and I'm going to protect your future and your safety when I'm mayor.
The Kensington residents feel they are in the receiving end of bad policies, live in a high crime area, littered streets at the mercy of some slumlords who take advantage of the poor and the undocumented. No access to recreational centers within walking distance from their homes to help keep their children safe. There are no safe green spaces or parks. So my question to all of you is, when and how do you plan to partner with our school community right here, our school community residents in the decision-making process? When and how will you include everyone in this room?
So I would partner with the community on day one. As city controller, I put together groups of community members for several projects that I did. For the city's investigation into, my investigation into the city's response to the civil unrest. My office put together a group of community leaders, residents, business leaders, to get input on what is the best way forward for policing in our city. The same that my office did for the audit of the police department. And on day one, I would bring you together to say, what can we do for the residents of Kensington? I put forth a public safety plan specifically related to the opioid crisis, and that calls for both law enforcement action to break up the drug market, as well as compassionate care for those suffering from addiction. But the people here in this audience, you are the ones that know what you need the best to fix the community, and you know what you need from the city. And I will listen to you and work with you to provide that. Also, as city controller, I did work around the inequity in service delivery across the city. My office put out a report that showed that if you live in Center City or Northeast Philly, you have a 93% chance or greater of getting your trash picked up on time. While if you live in other areas of the city, north, west, or south, it's 65 to 75% on time. That's not right. And as mayor, I will fix that. I will make our services equitable and bring safety, rec center, and library to our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Es bien importante que nosotros entendamos que aquí los líderes cívicos han planificado lo que ellos quieren ver en Kensington. Aquí lo que ha faltado es el liderazgo para apoyar el plan que ustedes quieren ejecutar. Se está haciendo millones de inversiones en todos los espacios recreativos. Si tú vas al Powell Center, si tú vas a Scallon, si tú vas a McVeigh, donde vamos a construir, vamos a tumbar el edificio, lo vamos a recrear, a reconstruir. Pero ¿de qué vale si lo arreglamos y no van a sacar la gente de la calle? ¿De qué vale que vamos a seguir regando estos espacios? Entonces nuestros niños tienen que caminar a través de todo lo que está ocurriendo en estos parques. Aquí la falta de liderazgo, que un alcalde que diga no se va a permitir utilizar nuestros espacios seguros de los niños para las actividades que se ha permitido. Folks, Kensington leadership has a plan. It's real important for the candidates who are coming to Kensington that they sit down and they talk to the leadership here. There is a plan that talks about housing. There is a plan that has millions of dollars being invested to all of our green spaces because I prioritize that. But what good is it if we invest in capital infrastructure and we have a failed containment strategy that allows people from outside to do all the lawlessness that they do in our streets? That is what's missing here. We have leadership ready, prepared, and eager to do the work, and they do the work every single day. It is really important that the folks who are running for mayor understand that what is missing in Kensington is leadership that says no neighborhood should live like this. I'm going to stand with my community leaders and I'm going to make them clean and safe. That is what we're missing. This is not an investment issue. This is not a leadership issue locally. It is a leadership issue from the city, and all the elected officials here should, all of us should be held accountable for the fact that we have a mayor that will not support community leadership here in Kensington.
Popular failed policies that have been developed without the community in mind is something that the people of Kensington know a whole lot about. As I sat down with New Kensington CDC, Impact Services, and talked with people at Esperanza, as a member of City Council, when we were dealing with people who had loud bullhorn shouting for us to defund the police, a little earlier than that, we were listening to people advocate for something called safe injection sites, and that is until the people in Frankfurt and Kensington who stood up and said it may have worked in Canada, but we don't want it here and it's not a part of our solution. The people in South Philly said we don't want it here, it's not a part of our solution. I call that engaging in I know what's best for you's people policy making. Under a Parker administration, we will ensure that you don't have to go through that. Why? Because never will you be able to say to me, Mayor Parker, the only time we see you and your administration is when you're knocking on our doors for your vote. I've never governed that way. We will have a mayor's community council where members of the administration and every department that services you will meet on a monthly basis with residents in Kensington. And if we are not moving the needle, listen, not through a speech or a feel-good meeting, but in a tangible way that you can touch, see, and feel. Are your commercial corridors improved? Do you see banners? Have trees been planted? Are they well lit? Is long-term treatment, long-term care, long-term housing available for those who are suffering? And most importantly, how are we stabilizing the homes of the people who can't afford to move out, who stayed and they braved it, so that when they see it come back to meet its full potential, and under Parker administration we will make sure that the people who live here are the voices who are heard first.
So I think there has to be a priority of what is important. There is not endless money. So what is first? The most important thing is that you have a safe community. That means we will have to have police out. They will have to have the technology to be a force multiplier. They will have to go up Kensington Avenue and enforce the law. There will be no illegal activities on Kensington Avenue. No drug dealing, no prostituting, no public defecation, none of those things. Then there will have to be trucks that come up and pick up all the trash, all the dumping, and after that, they have to enforce it. They have to go to the public transportation system, ensure every place is safe with cameras, with drones, whatever that takes to ensure that this community is safe. Once you have a safe community, then it is the issues that come up, education. How much does it cost to refurbish or build a new school? If you want to build a new school, if you can't refurbish a school, it's roughly $80 million. $80 million for a new school building. How many new school buildings do we need? The public spaces, the most beneficial perhaps are those places where children get an education, get to learn a skill, improve themselves. But what is in those places? For example, 3D printers? No. Software? No. Violins? No. Pianos? Keyboards? Guitars? You should be able to go to the library and take that home with your library card. Gaming. Kids love gaming. Can you go to the library and do gaming? Because it's not just for fun. It's an important skill that children have to learn, and with that comes the responsibility of using your library card in a responsible manner.
So I want to make sure that this conversation isn't just about convening communities to come together, because I know what has happened in Kensington has been plan after plan that has been delivered over the last half dozen years, and promises made, promises broken. For me, I come out of a world where communities are not just at the table, they are in control. And a lot of what community control has to look like is not just meeting after meeting. It is actually directing communities towards the things that are clearly needed. And here in Kensington, what we have heard time and time again is core areas within the city's control that have to be acted upon. First and foremost, every public institution a safe and open haven. That is your quality public school, open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. That means your libraries are open 7 days a week. It means that our rec centers are open in the evenings with full programming, and not just one person opening the doors hoping that they can manage a situation that comes through. That has to start in communities that are deeply impacted not only by opioids, but by violence, by poverty, by disinvestment, and by neglect. And that is why communities are so important, because we are the ones who are going to help make that possible. Second, I have committed to safe routes to and from school. It is obscene what young people have to walk through in this community neighborhood. It is essential that the city, the school district, SEPTA, our town watches, and our civic agencies come together with an all-hands-on-deck approach to making sure that sidewalks are cleared, that children and families know what are the safe routes to and from school. If buses need to be brought in, if direct transportation needs to be brought in, then that is also on the table. But that is directed by communities. That is not directed by the resources of the city, by the resources of the school district, or whoever happens to feel like doing something. And finally, I want to make sure that that is also part of a greening and cleaning approach to the city, and that is what Kensington absolutely deserves, and will get a commitment from me.
So when I announced my campaign, for mayor last year, I said Philadelphians should expect more and deserve better from our city. And no place where we see that what I need is most important is right here in Kensington. Now, I've had a chance to talk with Casey O'Donnell from Impact Services, Bill McKinney. I've also done ride-alongs with the 24th Police District late at night. And I think what's happened from my experience in talking to the residents of Kensington is a plan after plan after plan as a top-down approach from elected officials who will come in for one moment and then not participate and follow through. When we cleaned up Gurney Street, when the city cleaned up Gurney Street, and all of a sudden we moved people in that area, then it flooded Kensington Avenue and flooded the community because there was no follow-up plan to address the issue. So I have some very specific ideas about public safety because I'm a former prosecutor, I was an assistant district attorney, and I know we've got to use our federal partners to be engaged in our police districts at the 24th and 25th Police District to have real accountability for gun violence and make sure we're going after those who illegally possess guns. However, my plans have to be in partnership with the community. And so from May 17th, right after the primary, putting together a plan with not only Kensington, but across the city and seeing what are the issues you need to address. How can we bring in the Attorney General's also, and also federal prosecutors as well to address the issue. It does not make sense that we've allowed a section of our city to look like an episode from The Wire. And then we have these perspectives when I know when I've talked to residents, they say, well, we have an encampment, but there's no tents. The city says it's not an encampment, but you see an encampment because you have 20 or 30 people in front of a storefront. That is not acceptable. We are lying to the constituents of this community because we are not doing and not being upfront and honest about what needs to be done, and we need to have a straightforward approach. There's a bottom-up approach and not a top-down approach, and that's what happened with Derek Green as mayor.
When I was in council in March of 22, I put in a resolution supported by my colleagues on council to address the Kensington issue. I've been in Kensington typically 1 or 2 times a week. I've walked down the street several times. Just last week I walked down from above Allegheny on Kensington all the way to Lehigh. I see what's going on there. It's a disaster. It's a humanitarian crisis. Over 860 people living on the street. Many are not from Philadelphia. I've heard numbers of 60 or 70% not Philadelphia residents. It's a disaster. But this resolution called for the following, because I'd called Governor Wolf and said, this is worse than any hurricane, tornado, or flood. This is worse. Why is this not a FEMA site? Why can't we get federal help for this? Because most of these people aren't from Philadelphia. He said, put in a resolution requesting an emergency. We'll see if we can get it through FEMA. I can't guarantee it. We have a Democratic president. Put it in council. I put it in council. The plan called for the following: federal drug and law enforcement, state drug and law enforcement, local drug and law enforcement, and community partners. You heard Councilmember Sanchez talk about the community, and they have a plan. That should be incorporated. It should be a team effort. But he said to put it in, we did. We voted on it in council. It passed unanimously. The requirement was for the mayor to reach out to the governor. We had 2 different calls set up. They never happened. It should happen. On day 1, as mayor, I will declare a public health safety emergency in Kensington, and I will enact this plan to get federal, state, and local together. Here's the problem. Until you take out the drug dealing, this will not stop. Will not stop. You need to go after all levels of drug dealing and shut it down, and then get people into treatment either in their hometowns or in Philadelphia, and then revitalize that whole area with a special services district paid for by the city to bring it back.
So the answer is day 1 and every day after, that the community will be a part of the conversation and the plans and the changes coming to this community. So when I first took office in West Philadelphia, the state, they were like, oh, well, we're going to pick an office for you. I said, no. I asked them to give me the data that showed the community in my district in West Philadelphia who had the least amount of constituent services. Once they showed me that, that's where we put the state office, the community with the most need. And now we level the playing field, and each and every constituent in that community is being served the quality services that the entire district is receiving. No community will be left out from the conversation. That's what our campaign represents: a fresh start, a new beginning, and access. For communities like Kensington, we're going to have an aggressive blight removal program. We're going to have vacant lot sealing program, abandoned vehicle removal program as well. And then also, we're going to invest heavily in a beautification program done by the residents of this community. And it's going to be a paid program. And then we're going to address in our public safety plan the high amount of open bench warrants for violent offenders. They are right here in this community wearing ski masks, terrorizing our neighborhoods every single day, and the city does nothing about it. We're going to address that on day one. Thank you.
Guys, I'm going to address these young people first. I'm sure you guys are old enough to realize, and you won't be offended if I told you there was no Santa Claus. It's the same thing in life. Please don't put your faith and hope in politicians, because we can't all solve your problems. The faith and hope, your faith and hope has to be in who? You and the God above. The Bible says unless God builds the city, they labor in vain that build it. The Bible says unless God keeps watch, the watchmen labor in vain. Again, we're going to have to come together to solve this problem. I'm going to put children first. I'm going to put safety first. I am the only, again, block captain who's concerned about clean and safety. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure your future, I'm going to be visiting all the schools. I'm going to be encouraging all the young people to be the best they can be. I just need you to help cooperate and help me do this thing together. Tell all your friends to blow for Broom in the spring. Thank you very much.
Candidates, thank you again. So we've talked some possible solutions tonight, and forums are a good way to get yourself known to communities like Kensington, but if elected, while we cannot be out in the communities every day as we'd like, what does involvement with the communities such as this look like after the fact once you're elected? How many calls, emails are being made to officials like Awilda Balwena and others in the state? Thank you.
As mayor, I will have strong community engagement. I'll have an office of community engagement and reach out regularly to community leaders. As city controller, I did just that. I worked with community leaders in West Philadelphia, North Philadelphia, on issues facing their communities. And this is what I will do as mayor. I will reach out to the community here in Kensington, leaders of the school and the community, and work together. That's the way that I'll lead. That's the way that we will get true change here in Philadelphia. And I want to say another thing, and that's about having good services for every neighborhood. We need to have it says one more. Oh, is the time? Okay. I was just told that the time is running out. Okay. Thank you. I will have incredible community involvement. Thank you so much.
Well, yeah, she broke up in the middle of hers. That wasn't correct. She should have her additional time. I don't want to do that. Thank you. It's supposed to be 1 minute, but do finish. Okay.
No, it's fine. It's okay. It's fine. Let's just move on. It's fine.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Sure, no problem. Listen, you already heard me mention the vehicle by which I'm going to communicate with community-based organizations and leaders and residents in neighborhoods across the city. You have to do it in a very organized and a structured way. But another thing that I'm going to do, because I'm a very meticulously organized person, is that every support and service that is available and funded by the city of Philadelphia, there is no reason why you can't have access to it immediately. I don't care what neighborhood you go into. You read in the paper that we've funded through $155 million, $200 million, all of these grassroots community organizations. And if you want to access them or know what they have to offer, most of you can't do that. We're going to make that very simple. We're going to make it transparent, just like we're going to do with the ease of doing business in this city, and allow you to connect with any entity that's benefiting from funding from the city.
The mayor is the head of the city government. The government is responsible for ultimately 1.6 million people. There are many neighborhoods in this city, but most of them have the same problems you do. And the mayor, your connection to the mayor is to see visibly the changes that take place. You should see from day one of a new administration that things begin to change. Some of the things that are easy enough to see is the visible policing. and the police who do not turn a blind eye to crime, who are engaged in peacekeeping, engaged in protecting you, engaged in community. You should see them at your community centers, in your churches, at your schools. You should be engaged. That is how the mayor engages with you. Then what about your taxes? I don't know about this neighborhood, but the property taxes have to be reformed. There are other things that have to happen as well, and that's what you will see from me. Thank you.
I said specifically that this is a day one partnership, in part because there's work to do. I made it very clear that one of the first things that we want to get going are to reopen all the safe havens that we have at our disposal within Kensington. It's extremely important that those include all of our schools. Principal Balbuena, many other principals already have a direct line to me. We talk about trash pickups. We talk about dangerous streets that are unlit. We talk about the importance of getting social workers or nurse back on site when one is missing, and that is because this school matters so much. So from day one, you're going to see an immediate pushing out of city government into this area and making sure that you have a chance to respond directly back to us. That's because we're planning out making sure that there is a year-round approach to taking care of young people. This is not just about during a school year. I'm really worried about the summertime and what happens when schools like Casarez are not open because they are not able to be open because of air conditioning concerns or other things. So from day one, we are looking in partnership to take care of our young people, to prioritize safety, and to clean up the neighborhood.
So in reference to accountability and also accessibility, I'm going to have both an old school and a new school approach. When I say old school, I've had conversations with my fraternity brother Wilson Good. When he was mayor, he took his cabinet to the community so that way the community could see their government at work. He also had mobile city hall offices in community. That's the type of leadership that I will bring. That's why I've been to Kensington on various occasions to see what's happening in our city. But when I talk about new school, it's using technology. The fact that when you call 311 and they say a ticket's closed, but you know this has not been addressed, that's not the type of communication that we need to have, and accountability and accessibility. So as mayor, I'm going to use technology that I've seen in other cities, bring those best practices here to the city of Philadelphia. So we have real accountability to make sure we're communicating with you on a regular basis, but also an old school way so you see us visibly in your community, not only having cabinet meetings in areas like Kensington, but around the city of Philadelphia, taking an old school approach and a new school approach with technology.
To all the students here, I want you to remember something I'm going to say to you right now. Every job is 51% hospitality and 49% technical. 51% hospitality, 49% technical. And the city government should be like that too. We need more hospitality in the city of Philadelphia. We need to change how we answer the phones to thank you for calling the city of Philadelphia. How may we help you? My administration will be helpful to every person across the board. Open, accessible. You can reach me or anyone else. I work a lot. I love to work. It's not a problem. But I will also share with you that the Kensington Collaborative, I'm going to call it, will be part of my administration with community people, with schools. Our goal is to make life better for everybody. But I will say this. If I was mayor last week, I would have said to President Biden, I need you to come to Kensington. I need you to walk with me from K&A to Lehigh. You need to see what's going on here. We need your help. We need your help. And I would have made that happen.
So the answer to the question is simple. Access is everything. In our administration, like I said earlier, no community will be shut out. It's literally that simple. We will be here and be present with you each and every step of the way to make this community better. We have shown it in West Philadelphia, where I currently represent. There's not one block you can go to where a constituent will say anything negative about what our office has done. We are serving the people, and once we become mayor of this city, we will make sure that the entire city feel the same way, just as they do as state representative of West Philadelphia. Thank you.
Again, guys, I was the first person in Kensington. Go on YouTube and see Warren Bloom. Warren Bloom dealing with the issues up in Kensington. After I did it, then everybody else came up in Kensington. I'm, again, the only person committed to opening up a satellite office in Kensington. because we want to deal with this again. We're going to deal with this up and close. Kensington is just a microcosm of what's going to happen in this whole city if we don't get a hold of it. Again, all of these people up here, and at least 5 of them they resigned their office to run for mayor. And raise your hand, guys who resigned your so they can see who you are. Raise your hand. Helen, you're not raising your hand. Listen, a lot of these people gave up a $150,000 job to run for mayor. And I don't think many of them are truly committed and know what it means to save a community. But I'm asking you to help participate again in saving this city. You have to help us. Thanks so much. God bless you. Remember, bloom in the spring.
The next question comes from another one of our students. And this is for 2 candidates that he's picked, and you will have 2 minutes to answer.
Last year in Philadelphia, there were 516 homicides. 214 children were shot. 30 of these fatalities were children. This school year, 78 students in the district have been shot, 17 of them killed. How will you prevent or at least decrease the level of gun violence across the city and make it harder for criminals to get guns? We just want to be safe and learn. This question is for Mr. Eamon Brown and Mr. Derek Green.
Eamon Brown is left.
Okay. This question is for Mr. Derek Green and Miss Helen Gim.
Well, thank you for that question. Is the number one issue that we talk about every single day in every single community, especially right here, and every child should be safe. As a parent, I understand that concern and that fear, because when you let your child leave to go to school, you expect them to return back safe. That's not what's happening in the city of Philadelphia. When I talked earlier about my public safety plan, we're going to do it and have a reduction of 25% or more shootings in the city of Philadelphia in the first year of a Green administration. And we're going to do that through presence, accountability, opportunity, and investment. Now, when I talk about presence, it's bringing in police officers that reflect the city of Philadelphia. The fact that other cities are using the idea that I tried to bring to the city of Philadelphia of using hiring bonuses. Seattle went from defunding to police to now using a $50,000 hiring bonus. If you go on 95, you'll see a billboard saying join the Metropolitan Police Department in D.C. with a $20,000 hiring bonus. We need to use these practices that have been used in other cities to make sure we have police officers in the city of Philadelphia. Accountability. We need to make sure that we are aggressively going after gun violence and those who possess guns illegally. When I was in DA's office, you did not want to have a gun on you because you knew if you got arrested, you would get federal time. That's why in my public safety plan, we're going to have a true partnership with the U.S. Attorney's Office and bring the AUSAs to our police districts to really go after illegal gun possessions. That's what's not happening in the city of Philadelphia. That's why we have so many incidents of gun violence and young people don't feel safe. We think about what happened tragically at Roxborough and Overbrook High School and all around the city of Philadelphia. We are not protecting our young people. Our young people are afraid to go to school. Our parents are afraid to have our children leave their homes because they're afraid they may not come back. That's why we need to have a real aggressive approach to public safety. My public safety plan does that through presence, accountability, opportunity, and investment.
I want to congratulate the young man for a wonderful and important question, probably the most important question in this whole mayor's race. So I've spent most of my life trying to figure out how to help young people in need. I wrote last year, or 2 years ago, a youth anti-violence agenda report that talked about so many young people being left behind. Not only youth, but young adults, really. Those who are 30 and under are so often in situations and in places where employment is a problem, where lack of investments, where education is not offered, people are disconnected from home and family. So one of the most important things is, first and foremost, we have to take care of the violence. So we're overhauling our police department. We're making sure that more officers are deployed out onto the streets. We are talking about reaching out and helping officers knock doors after gun violence happens in communities. So it's not just about like sweeping in and then sweeping out. It's also about door knocking, bringing food. asking questions, taking surveys, requesting to see if people need access to mental health supports. Are there funds that we can make available for individuals who might have had a window blown out or a car door damaged? Because violence is also a tax on low-income communities as well. Second, I'm prioritizing mental health. This is one of the most important issues, that people suffer from trauma, mental health. I piloted the first non-police mental health mobile crisis units so we could actually send out trained individuals to deal with mental health crises and then allow police officers to take the 911 calls that are primary for them. And with so many young people being hurt in broad daylight, most of the shootings are happening before 6 p.m. and between after-school hours. That is why I've prioritized that 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. approach to taking care of school, taking care of young people, making sure after-school programs are running, making sure we are looking at programming between Friday night and Monday morning and year-round so that no family has to be worried about their children getting their education and being safe.
Thank you. Thank you. The next question comes from Donnie. Donnie?
When criminals commit a crime, when criminals commit a crime and police arrest them, sometimes they get arrested and when criminals commit a crime and the police arrest them, sometimes they post bail and come out and commit crimes. As mayor, what will you do to make sure the criminals who should be in prison stay in prison? What interventions do you plan to have to decrease recidivism and to support youth? My question goes to Warren Bloom and David O.
I'm ready to hire you right now and solve all these problems. This is an attack on the home, young man. Everything comes from the home. Do you understand that? That's why I'm a minister, but I don't expect everybody to believe and agree with my moral, physical, spiritual, whatever beliefs, but I want to tell all young people, please, first of all, try to have God in your life somewhere. Try to get to know who God is. Be a godly person. But recidivism has to do with the judges. I'm going to ask judges to impose harder sentences on people who commit gun violence and just senseless crime when they're killing children. We have to ask the judges to make sure they impose the stiffest penalties possible. But also prisoners who commit crime have a right to be rehabilitated. So maybe if they did something wrong, they have a right to be rehabilitated and get their lives together. So we just can't just throw them away. But if they show promise that they want to do right, we have to give them a chance to have a second chance. But I will be tough, very tough on crime. I will be the toughest person on crime in Philadelphia as far as the mayor is concerned. So we have to make sure the judges do their part. It just can't be the mayor. We have to ask the judges, please make sure if these people are committing senseless crimes, and they have to go to jail for a long time. And that's my motto. You will go to jail for a long time or worse.
Under the law, everyone is presumed innocent unless proven guilty. That's a very important principle to maintain. So even though a person may have a record, even if they're arrested, they have a presumption of innocence. However, when we begin this process, as you said, if a person is held for court, but then they come out of jail, that is a concern to basically two groups of people. One is the community. Is this person a danger to the community? Number two, what about the victims and witnesses? And that's one of the problems that we have. Victims and witnesses are not being told when someone is released. They're not being informed. If there is someone who's a danger to an individual or to the community, we know when they're released. And the police should keep an eye on them. They should let the victim and witness know. They should maintain observation in a way that is lawful as to what is the activities. We also know when these people coming out of prison are telling people that they're looking for the witnesses and victims. And that is something that is happening today more than ever, especially on social media with young people. We know when people are hunting each other. We know what vehicles they're using. So we have to keep an eye on them. We can do that through technology like drone technology. We can follow them. We can see what's going on, but we have to protect the people. I was in this neighborhood when Sonia Bingham from Harrogate was firebombed after she chased drug dealers off her street. That was scary for her. What I did and what council members did, we put in a resolution asking the mayor to make available a $20,000 reward for information because people know who did it. The people who firebombed her home, they were not the people in charge. Someone ordered them, told them, paid them to do that. And that's what we need to do to ensure safety for all. Thank you.
This follow-up question is for Rebecca Rinhard, Sherelle Parker, and Alan Doan. How can we ensure that funding for youth intervention programs are not only continued and sustainable, but also accountable to measurable results? You have 1 minute, and I'm going to be faithful to the timer.
As city controller, I did a lot of work around intervention strategies that work to get those most likely to shoot or be shot, the young individuals, out of the street life, offering them a choice, an opportunity for a job training with consequences if they don't take it. As mayor, I will make sure that those programs are funded appropriately. I put forth solutions as city controller saying we should be funding these intervention strategies at $25,000 per shooting, like New York and LA. We only fund it here at $6,000 per shooting. That's not okay. As mayor, I will fund them appropriately. And I will use the power of my office and the knowledge that I have from being the city's budget director to make sure that the right strategies are funded and we have metrics for accountability. Thank you.
I'm going to go back to what I said to you earlier. There is no reason why that any neighborhood-based, community-based organization being funded by the city of Philadelphia is not readily available and accessible to you. So one, you have to have a rubric, a criteria. One, you have to be readily available to the public. That has to be an old-fashioned telephone number that grandmom can call if she doesn't know how to use a smartphone. You have to have an email address, and you have to have a website so that you're readily available. Then when you're reporting on what you're doing, how many people are you engaging with? Who is benefiting from your supports and services? What zip codes do they come from so that we can see what the return on our investment is? Connect our people with where our tax dollars are being spent and make sure you make it publicly available via the city's website.
While I was on council in December, I think it was of 21, I put in a resolution calling upon the mayor and the administration to analyze the $200 million of violence spending we were investing for programs to save lives, asking our academic institutions to look at those programs and tell us which ones were saving lives and which ones were not. All members of council supported it. We asked the administration to go out to like St. Joe's, Temple, Drexel, Community College, and Penn and say to us, we're investing $200 million. Tell us which ones are saving lives and which ones are not. We recently saw the GVI, Group Violence Intervention, which I think the city's funding around $1 million and getting a $2 million state grant, is working pretty well. That's one that should have more money. There's been many others that have not worked that well, and those should be stopped or changed so they're productive. The most important thing is, picture this, $200 million. We need to make sure that's being invested and saving lives accurately.
The next question comes from one of our students, Giovanni Quiñones.
When I walk to school, I find trash and needles, and I see people using and selling drugs. It makes me feel uneasy and unsafe. I'm only 10 years old. What will you do as mayor to clean up the streets in Kensington and stop drug usage and drug trafficking?
Young man, can you take your mask off and say the question again?
When I walk to school, I find trash and needles, and I see people using and selling drugs. It makes me feel uneasy and unsafe. I'm only 10 years old. As mayor, what will you do to clean up the streets and make sure that to stop people from using drugs and people from selling drugs? This question goes to all candidates.
Thank you for that question. No child, no kid should have to walk to school and see what we all see when we walk here. People with needles in their necks, people collapsed. We should not have this in our city. And as mayor, I will tackle this issue. I put out an opioid plan which states what I'll do. Day one, declare appoints an opioid czar, okay? Use law enforcement to do drug market intervention, to break up the drug market. We're not the first city in the world to have an open-air drug market, but we can't let it continue. And right now, our city government is just letting it continue, and that is not okay. As a mom, my daughter's 12 years old. It is not okay. It will not be acceptable when I'm mayor. I will tackle the drug use, breaking up the drug market, and also providing compassionate care for those suffering from substance use disorder. We can do both. We can use city services, the Department of Behavioral Health, the Department of Homeless Services, public health. The city spends $1 billion a year on behavioral health, but we don't have it reach the people that need it most. And as mayor, I will coordinate the operating departments to make sure it reaches the people on the street that need help, that need a way out to get clean. I will do both as mayor so that you don't have to see that, because it's not normal to have to walk through that. We want you to see hope. We want you to see the future and the beauty of your neighborhood and this city, not to see what you see when you walk through your streets right now. So I will clean it and clean the whole thing up for you. So thank you.
Tell me your name again. Giovanni? Giovanni, because of the eloquence that you just very simply explained what's been allowed to persist in this community for so long, you just gave me the foundation for the response. The first thing a leader must understand is that when you lead, you're going to make some people angry. There are some people that will tell us that we need to just hug our ways through this open air drug market in the city. I'm here to tell you that that won't do it alone. While we have to have a comprehensive approach, and that means zero tolerance for the open air drug market along with the open air use, because what you described in no way, shape, or form should that be normal, and no one should normalize us attempting to contain it just within this particular area. So when you see me call President Biden and Governor Josh Shapiro and say every resource is available at the federal, state, and local level, I want them on a the ground in Kensington, because there will be zero tolerance for any misuse or abuse of authority by law enforcement, but we're going to clean this stuff up. I want you to know some people are going to be upset with Mayor Parker, but you deserve it. At the same time, guess what we're going to do? Don't you think it's a coincidence that Kensington and Philadelphia has been flooded with opioids by big pharmaceutical companies? When you hear us say big pharma, I want you to know those are the industries that flood our community. So we're going to go after big pharma just like we're going to go after big guns. That is the gun manufacturers, where right now Ghost Guns and many others, we can't trace where they're coming from. So it's a multi-pronged approach, and we're going to use every tool in our toolbox, but you will not, under a Parker administration, walk through this and expect me to think that you should be used to it. Never in a day, and I don't care how many people I piss off by doing it.
The reason you have this problem is because somebody made a decision not to enforce the law. All of this is illegal. You should not have people doing injections right in the middle of the day. You should not have drug dealers openly selling drugs with police told not to arrest them or to intervene. These are things that are happening because someone has decided to take the words of other people, well-intentioned people, kind-hearted people, but really misguided people with very bad policy. It has failed. And what happens is, what they want is they want drug-addicted people to be able to live in the streets of Philadelphia. They want them to be able to get their drugs, so they're telling the police not to arrest the drug dealers. The drug dealers are killing each other because there's so much money to be made here. But the people who have decided that you don't count, that your family doesn't count, that the store on the corner that provides you the things that you need, that they don't count, those people are in power. That has to change so that the residents come first, the children come first in this order. We enforce the law. Enforcing the law is so much more humane than ignoring the law. Because Kensington Avenue exists, people from all over this region are leaving their homes, leaving their families, leaving their governmental resources to provide the help that they need to come to the Ave and live here for 6 years without any interruption on the street. There's too many people here. It's not a sustainable thing that we can do. In other words, I think of it like a person who took in 2 stray cats. That's nice. You can take in 2 stray cats. You can't take in 200. It's overwhelming, and it's not doing them any good or the community or anything like that. And so now, to confront the people who want to maintain safe injection sites, who want to maintain this, you're going to have leadership that says, no, we're going to put the community first. Thank you.
So I also want to thank Giovanni for that important question, and to commit again that the work that we do will be seen through your eyes, that we will actually judge ourselves by the way in which young people grow up in this city and how people live with dignity. First and foremost, I think everyone in here is going to say the same thing. We all intend to end the open air drug market that is prevalent here in Kensington. It is not a question of intent. It is a question of how we're going to bring the resources here to actually make that happen. It is important that it is not just seen as a containment issue. It's not just about Kensington, that it is a regional problem, if not a statewide, multi-state kind of area. So we need to bring in our partners at the regional level to talk about recovery, to talk about bringing people home, reuniting with families, and not just talk about what happens here within a small set of blocks. It is deeply important that I talked about again, that we have to have safe routes to and from school, that no child should ever have to walk. And that does mean that we cleared sidewalks, that we make sure that there are all eyes on here, that we are focused on our SEPTA transit stations and public areas that people actually traverse through. It matters that if we care about people who are seeking recovery, that we start new efforts to provide not just housing, but also housing with integrated services that provide recovery there, because people can't recover just with housing, and they can't recover just if they go to a treatment center. They actually need a multi-level approach. And then finally, I'm committed to cleaning up the streets, that we've made it clear that neighborhoods that just get once a week cleaning services is just not the way that we deliver services in Philadelphia. It's not based on how many services people get or making it even. It's about how neighborhoods live. So here, more sanitation cleanups and a commitment to brighten up streets so nobody has to be afraid walking through the neighborhood that they call home.
Giovanni, I want to thank you for that question. And as a student, a very bright student, you know that listening is very important. And so everyone on this stage is not saying the same thing. What I'm saying is that we have to aggressively go after the gun violence that you talked about. I remember in the summer of 2021, when we were talking about the opportunities for young people to get vaccinated. I remember having a conversation with a young person who did not want to get vaccinated because what they saw when they heard needle, they thought about the orange caps on Kensington Avenue, and they didn't want to become a zombie like they saw on the streets of Kensington because they were afraid to get vaccinated. You should not have that fear as a young person. You should not have the fear that you're going to get caught up in the gun violence and the criminal violence that's happening in the city of Philadelphia. That's why in my public safety plan, I'm being very direct about how we work with our criminal justice partners that we're not doing right now. We're not working with the Assistant U.S. Attorney's Office in a real way to go after gun violence and to really go against those who are engaging in drug dealing. That is not what's happening in the city of Philadelphia. We have a disconnect in reference to how we're supposed to use all of our criminal justice partners in a real way to address the issues in the city, and especially here in Kensington. When I did the ride-along, my most recent ride-along with Kensington, the 24th Police District over the summer, one of the things that the officers said to me is that they don't feel they can do their job because if they make arrests, are those arrests going to be prosecuted? That's a real issue that officers feel, and I know residents and neighbors feel in this community. We need to have leadership in the city of Philadelphia. That's why I said we need to have a new leadership in reference to police, a new police commissioner, to really go after the issues in our city and work with all our criminal justice partners to really bring about a change, not only in the city of Philadelphia, but also right here in Kensington. And that's why Philadelphians should expect more and deserve better from our city, and you'll get that with a Green administration.
Giovanni, I was listening to talk about having to walk and see needles on the street. I've seen them too, but cannot imagine what it would be like for someone your age. But when you think about this issue, I don't know if the students here have had a course yet on supply and demand. Have you guys had that course yet? Maybe next week you can teach that course, because that's the issue in Kensington. Let me be really clear. As long as that supply is there, there'll be a demand. The drug dealers are really good entrepreneurs. I'm going to call it the way it is. They give out free samples. We could take 860 people off the street tomorrow, and then have 860 new customers on the street by Friday. We need to shut down the drug dealing, period. Not move it to Bridesburg, not move it to anywhere in our city, but take it out. And until that happens, we're not going to solve this problem. Once we take it out, then we can help those 860 people into treatment, whether it's in the city of Philadelphia or back where they're from, in their homes with their families. And then what we need to do is revitalize that neighborhood. And it's the city's responsibility, because this has been going on for 20 years. I call it containment. It's like for 20 years, it's okay to go to Kensington and do this activity. It really isn't okay. It's unacceptable. We need to invest in Kensington. Might cost $5, $6, or $7 million. I would happily support that and bring back the lifestyle of Kensington, make it safe and clean, make it so students and adults can walk without seeing needles, or people having needles sticking out of their arms that I saw constantly last week. It's unacceptable. But I actually believe that if we can accomplish this and we invest in Kensington after the 5th year, $5 or $6 million a year, we will bring back that neighborhood. There'll be new stores there. There'll be people living there. We'll have a thriving neighborhood. I remember when Kensington was thriving. I remember Kramer's Kids on Kensington Avenue. I remember all those stores that were doing well. We've allowed this, and I blame the government. We've allowed this to occur. We need to fix it.
Again, Giovanni, society is simply made up of people. People just like you and I. But when you corrupt the people, you've corrupted society. We, like I said, this is a grassroots problem. Last week we had the block captains meeting, and I'm a block captain. All the block captains came together. We can't police our way out of this. We don't have enough police to watch the streets, but I want to deputize block captains, junior block captains. If you're 8-year-old and older, we're going to show you how to keep your own street clean, first of all, like we used to do, painting the curbs back in the day. And we're going to give a stipend to block captains and junior block captains. I would ask you guys to try and find out. I'll show you how to be a junior block captain. Children can play such a great part in helping, but as families, we have to take back our community and stop relying on politicians and police to do it. Let's take back our own communities. Hello? Hello? Public safety is everybody's responsibility. So please step up, families. I'm in favor of guardian and parenting education, some of the ideas that Alan has brought forth. And we have to simply take our communities back, ladies and gentlemen. This is no quick fix thing. We didn't get in this overnight, but we can get out of it sooner than later.
All right, we want to be respectful of your time. We have 2 minutes, each candidate. It's all up to you what you would like to share with the community. 2 minutes, each candidate. If you, it was until 5:30, so we still have about 15 minutes or so. So if you're able to do that.
So in closing, I'm Rebecca Reinhardt. I'm running for mayor because I believe that Philadelphians deserve a city government that truly works. And I first ran for office in 2017 after 9 years, close to a decade, working for 2 mayors because I saw so much of the entrenchment from the inside that needed to change. And that's what I've been working on for 5 years as controller, to give thoughtful solutions to fix things. And now as mayor, I want to fix it so that city government truly works. Because our city is an amazing, amazing city with neighborhoods and arts and culture and restaurants. We need to make it safe, clean, and fix the schools. That's what I want to do as mayor. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much. Again, Sherelle Parker, a teacher and a mother, attempting to do what no one like me has ever done in the history of our city, become our 100th mayor. I commit to you that my lived life experience in some of the areas where the people who are feeling the most pain in our city, because I've lived that, I know how to ensure that we are the safest and the cleanest big city in the nation that can provide access to economic opportunity for all. I propose to you that our schools will be open beginning at 7:30 every morning and close no earlier than 6 p.m. We will have year-round public educational opportunities for not just our students, but unemployed and underemployed adults. Every industry that's growing in the city of Philadelphia, our people will be prepared for it. I want nobody to have to need government and welfare and food stamps like I did growing up. A path to self-sufficiency for all Philadelphians is what I desire.
In 1987, I came to this neighborhood because in the district attorney's office, I was representing a little girl 10 years old. She had been the victim of sexual assault 3 times at the age of 10. And when I went to her house, she opened the door and a lock fell off the door. And I was so concerned. I'm like, I get a screwdriver, put the lock on. This little girl said to me, "There's nothing to steal in this house." Now, I come from a poor neighborhood, Southwest Philadelphia. I've never been in a neighborhood this poor. The disparity in the city between rich and poor, the services, how people are treated, whether you're protected, your schools, your recreation, this is unacceptable. To have communities so very different. I have 4 children. I cannot treat one of my children worse than the other 3. I cannot treat one of them better than the other 3 because that would create animosities and jealousies. We need to even this out. Thank you.
I'm Helen Gim, and I am a former public school teacher 30 years ago. My world was defined by buildings like Casares. I taught at Lowell Elementary School in Olney on the 5th floor of a 100-year-old building in 90-degree temperatures with 38 4th and 5th graders in my classroom whom I loved more than anything else in the world. But I knew one thing, that my kids deserve so much more than this. I am not running for mayor to start a job in January 2024. I am here to finish a job that I started more than 3 decades ago when I said that this city was never going to rise if it left its children and families behind. And from the moment I've gotten into office and from all the work that I've done, I've tried to show families that this city is the only thing, we're the only thing that hold ourselves back. That the tired politics of old, the ways in which we have traditionally denied communities and families the right to what everybody wants, a decent home, a quality school, and safety and dignity in their neighborhoods, are just us. So I am here because everybody in this room loves Philadelphia, but I'm here to make sure that as mayor, Philadelphia is going to love you back and give you the services and the city that we deserve.
Derek Green, running for mayor. I've had a lot of opportunities in my life as a 2-time city council member at large, a small business owner, a small business lender. I've also been a teacher, and I taught in the same school my mother taught, which was Olney High School. But I think the one experience that makes me the most qualified to be the next mayor is being an assistant district attorney. And I talked about my public safety plan, about presence and accountability, but the other 2 pieces are opportunity and investment. When my mom taught at Olney High School, they had one of the best auto body shops in the city. If you came out of Olney, you can go right to Wilkie on Broad Street and get a job. We're not exposing young people like the young people here today, those opportunities to get a real career and get a family-sustaining job. That's what we're not doing as a city. So with my public safety plan, we'll have that type of opportunity for young people and give them the ability to start a business like I did, as well as get a job, a family-sustaining job. But we'll also invest in our city, especially invest in Kensington, and use the things I've seen in other cities and use the bipartisan infrastructure plan as a real way to invest in our city and make our city safer, because Philadelphians should expect more and deserve better, and that's what you get with Derek Green as mayor.
I'm running for mayor because I believe the most important thing we need to focus on, which is violence. Kensington, on day 1, I'll declare a crime emergency in the city and a public health crisis in Kensington. I'll be happy to be held accountable that after my 4 years, first term as mayor, that Kensington is way better and hopefully fixed. Because in my opinion, it's the worst thing right now in the city as far as communities. We have no other community that is this bad. None. And we've allowed it to happen. I'm happy to be held accountable for that. My whole life is about fixing problems and getting great results. I came here with nothing. I built a business from scratch. I was very fortunate. I invested in the city, and the city invested in me. I ran for council. Now I'm running for mayor for one thing. I love the city, as all of you do, and what is happening in Kensington is just unacceptable. And I will not be mayor and allow that to occur.
Again, I want to thank you guys for having us out, and thank you for having me. Kids, do you know what the greatest thing is in God's eyesight? A child's prayer. Can you say a child's prayer? A child's prayer. If the worst thing I can tell this community to do is pray, then don't vote for me. Pray, children, what God would have you to do and who to vote for, and to help you and give you ideas. But God will listen to your prayer before he listens to anybody's prayer, because it's a pure prayer, unadulterated prayer. Communities, I'm the only person talking about we have to do everything humanly possible to solve this problem. But unless God solves it, we're just laboring in vain. God wants to solve it. He wants people to pray. Can somebody say, pray, and you'll stay? I'm blooming in the spring, do the right thing. I'm from the hood, I'll do you good. I'm for the needy, not the greedy.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Thank you, candidates, for hanging in there. But I do have one question for you. I still have one question for you. When you become mayor, do you commit to returning back to the school community so that we can discuss all of our issues a lot deeper? You promise?
Yes. I'm here.
They promise. We're going to hold them to it, right? Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Thank you, thank you.